Minister, the Just Transition Commissioner was appointed by the Government to facilitate dialogue and bring forward concerns from affected communities, residents, workers and businesses from right across the Midlands. Now, I am deeply disappointed that the Government does not support the continuation of his advocacy role, because Kieran Mulvey very honestly exposed the duplicity of some of the so-called support measures, ensuring that Midland families were the primary focus of all supports.
Thank you, Deputy. The Government is committed to a just transition in the Midlands region and has dedicated significant funding to supporting workers, companies and communities affected by the closure of the peat-fired power stations and the end of peat harvesting by Bord na Móna. And as part of this commitment, the Just Transition Commissioner was appointed in November 2019 with the mandate to engage with those affected by the accelerated exit from peat for electricity generation and to recommend to Government the essential elements of a just transition for those workers and communities. The Commissioner has made an important contribution to the Government's overall just transition response in the region, helping to facilitate dialogue and bringing forward concerns from affected communities, residents, workers and businesses. The Government has responded to the Commissioner's recommendation by publishing an implementation plan for the Midlands region as part of the 2021 Climate Action Plan. The key responsibilities, steps and timelines to deliver the actions under this implementation plan will shortly be published as part of the Annex of Actions to the Climate Action Plan. I've had various engagements with the Commissioner during 2021, most recently in July in a meeting with both the Taoiseach and Taoiseach. We've discussed a range of matters, including the Department's proposed response to the Commissioner's recommendations in his progress reports, progress with the delivery of funding into the region, and the Commissioner's work for the remainder of 2021. And in addition, the work of the Commissioner continues to be supported by my department on an ongoing basis. As I've noted previously, given the significant progress that has already been achieved, the Government does not propose to continue the Commissioner's term beyond the end of his current mandate, which concludes at the end of this year. I look forward to receiving the Commissioner's final report and recommendation and being further briefed by the Commissioner at that stage. The Midlands Regional Transition Team, which is convened by the Midlands local authorities, continues to provide an important forum for local authorities, state agencies and others to coordinate their ongoing work and to engage with Government in relation to just transition in the region. My department will continue to engage with and support the work of this group into the future as the Midlands implementation plan is delivered.
Minister, I think it's deeply disappointing that Kieran Mulvey, or a replacement, is not being appointed from the beginning of next year, particularly when the EU Just Transition Fund is not yet in place and won't be in place until later in the year, because Kieran Mulvey has exposed weaknesses in terms of the existing Just Transition Fund, pointing out that communities like Ballyford and County Roscommon, where they secured €1 million of investment through the Just Transition Fund, should not be overburdened in terms of providing co-financing. We're effectively asking communities that are being decimated through the loss of jobs to actually fundraise for those very same replacement jobs. And that is fundamentally wrong. Now, Kieran Mulvey has highlighted this on numerous occasions to the Department, and what is the Department doing about that issue of co-financing?
Thank you, Deputy. So, although the Commissioner, Kieran Mulvey's term is not continuing, that there is a just transition being set up under legislation for next year. And I think that Kieran Mulvey is so broadly and widely and universally respected, and his area of specialty is, of course, industrial relations. And I think that as the just transition continues, there will be a change of focus over what is required to be the expertise or the focus of the Commission. And I think it was absolutely right that it was industrial relations to begin with. We intend to progress and develop proposals on the mandate on the Statutory Just Transition Commission in 2022 in advance of drafting the legislation, and a Just Transition Working Group will be established in 2022 alongside the Just Transition Commission to coordinate the provision of strategic advice and research to the proposed Just Transition Commission. Thank you.
Kieran Mulvey, in his engagement with the SB, pursued the company in relation to the release of the Dalton building in Shannon Bridge and the tomato shed in Lanesborough for community use. Now, Minister, as you're aware, the Commissioner has highlighted the fact that the tomato shed will not be released to the local community at the moment, that the ESB is making the release of that dependent on it being taken off the EPA licence, and the ESB are not prepared to seek an alteration of the licence to support the community, and instead are determined to submit the licence for the full site before they will actually expedite that. And secondly, the ESB have committed €500,000 to the local community in Lanesborough, but we're now being informed that that is dependent on the ESB having the licence lifted from the EPA and being granted planning permission for new energy services on the site, which is completely contrary to the original intention.
Okay. Thank you, Deputy. I note your comments and I note your passion, and I commit that I will take your comments to the Minister, and that you can contact my office or his office and I will give you a reply. ESB provided a €5 million contribution to the Just Transition Fund in 2020 to support a just transition in the Midlands, and I understand that ESB is continuing to explore the development of infrastructure in the Midlands for use by local community groups. The Just Transition Commissioner facilitated ongoing discussion with the ESB and key stakeholders such as the Midlands Regional Transition Team to develop, mobilise and deliver opportunities for the Midlands for both workers directly affected and for the wider community. ESB is currently developing planning applications for both station sites as renewable energy centres to facilitate growth in the green technology sector. This is in anticipation of future competitive tenders to be held by EirGrid and the CRU. The proposed technology includes synchronous condensers and energy storage capabilities at both locations. I also understand the ESB provided an update on its plans for both sites to the most recent meeting of the Midlands Regional Transition Team on the 1st of December. ESB remains committed to the Midlands through the development of these projects, its €5 million contribution to the Just Transition Fund and its network operations, which employ over 400 highly skilled engineers, technicians and office workers in the region.